Peace family, Vie Darling, the Cosmic Queen, and your intergalactic interpreter. And we got cut off because I played Kelly Clarkson, and I guess they didn't like that. I mean, I did play a lot of it, so it was the channeled song Breakaway by Kelly Clarkson. And the point is, hi everybody. She says, grew up in a small town, and when the rain would fall down, I just stare out my window, dreaming of what could be, and if I'd end up happy, I would pray. So this is telling me, as I said, like, there are a lot of prayers being answered in this time, in this week, things that you never thought were possible. You may have been afraid that, like, you would never be able to get free, to get what it is you've been looking for, what you've been hoping for. And sometimes maybe you were even too scared to admit that it was something that you wanted because you were afraid of getting your hopes up and like being disappointed. But what's coming through is that as long as you stay open to receiving, it's coming. And even, hi, welcome back. Sorry about that. Even if you don't believe that it's coming anyway. So that's what's coming up. And so the guidance from the Oracle, we're using the crystal Oracle deck to get the general energy. We have green calcite, live out your heart's desire. Exactly. Danbarite, turn on your electric light. And if you look at that, it looks a lot like, one, I'm seeing like Lemurian quartz crystal, but two, I'm seeing selenite. So this is a purification of your channels. Oh. Kunzite, open up your love channel. Exactly, open up to receiving. Obsidian, protect your soul. It is Mercury retrograde and Celestite on the bottom of the deck. Tune into your serenity. So it's really important to understand. She says, trying hard to reach out, but when I tried to speak out, felt like no one could hear me. Wanted to belong here, but something felt so wrong here, so I prayed I could break away. I get the sense that a lot of folks, whatever it is in your personal experience, whatever it is in your personal life, folks have been denying their truth about themselves and about the world around them. Okay, it's not necessarily just a town. A town also, like, is just a collective of people living together, right? So this small town is a culture. And if you identify as a light worker, a healer, an outlier, what have you, this idea of being an outlier means that you lie outside the general average population. And that means that you stand out. You are incredible. It's hard to even believe that you exist for a lot of people. And because of that, they don't know how to handle you. And a lot of people, what they don't know how to deal with, they are scared of. And when they're scared, they act out because they are low vibrational. And I don't say that to be like, oh, they're a bad person, because that's not what being low vibrational means. Literally, our reptilian brain, our primitive brain, that's the basal ganglia at the back of your, where your spinal column meets your skull, that is a lower vibrational consciousness. And when we are experiencing triggering or like experiencing panic or a crisis, what happens is our primal senses kick in, so that we are operating from our primacy to keep us safe, to keep us alive. However, when we transcend that space, we move into a more sophisticated part of our brain. And that sophisticated part of our brain does problem solving. It does language, all kinds of things like that. So it actually doesn't really help to operate from the reptilian part of your brain. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help us because it tends to just create more problems. Hi. it tends to just create more problems. If we're in a crisis and we want to solve the crisis and we want to come out on top of the crisis, we need to stop. We need to pause. We need to take a breath and allow our nervous system to settle, that we can actually transcend the fear program, the fearful mind, the reptilian brain, and yes, transcend into the more developed, more sophisticated parts of our brain and operating system. Brain as operating system, okay? So what I'm getting from this download is that, one, a lot of folks have been in a state of pause. A lot of folks have been in a moment where it feels like things are not moving forward. It feels like we're just spinning our wheels. Like, why? I'm putting all of this energy in, I'm putting all of this effort in, and it just seems like I'm stuck. You know, and when we perceive of things as being stuck, I think that a lot of times we get this fear that we're actually regressing, that we're going to move backwards. The thing about it is, once you have a state of conscious awareness, you can never unsee. If you have a perception shift, if you have a perspective shift, you can never unsee what you saw. Once the mirror is broken, that's it. You're never going to have the mirror back together again, period. So this fear that, like, in this time of pause that many of us have been experiencing, that we're going to regress into the person that we once were, that's not going to happen. That period of pause has been so you could collect your bearings and experience this consciousness shift upward, transcend that survival mode in which we were living. And many of us were living in some aspect of our life in survival mode. It doesn't matter if you had plenty of material resources. There was some aspect of your life that was keeping you from being able to be the person that you wanted to be. And a lot of that comes from fear, social fear, fear of the other, fear of relationships, fear of intimacy, where we were different and we perhaps experienced persecution for that difference. And, you know, it is really great when we can be like, you know, they know not what they do. They don't know any better. Like, they did the best that they could. I'm going to be real with you here, and a psychologist who I really love on TikTok made this point. You know, and a trigger warning here about, like, child abuse. If you are an adult parent who is abusing your child, you do know better. Nobody in this world thinks, like, yes, this is what I should be doing. Nobody. You can lie to yourself and tell yourself that, but you'd literally have to be, like, psychopathic to believe that. You know what I mean? And this is coming from a psychologist who is well-versed in narcissistic abuse. We know that if we don't like something, why would somebody else like receiving that kind of treatment? When, oh, well, their parent did it to them. Yeah, but they didn't like it when that happened. So logically speaking, it's not going to be good for the person that you're doing it to. You know what I mean? So it's been one of the big thing that's coming up here is you've been in a moment. We've collectively, this is a collective reading, we've collectively been in a moment where we're recognizing we've been letting people off the hook for far too long. And we've been holding space and keeping relationships with people, places, things, idea systems, situations, behaviors for far too long. It's like, well, you know, it is really terrible and destructive and harmful, but what can you do? Things like this, like, oh, boys will be boys type things, or like, well, that's how it's always been and that's how it's probably always going to be. Literally, history is, that's how it was, and now it's not that thing happening anymore. So this idea of like, that's how it's been and that's how it's always going to be, when you choose to make the change, you can make the change. This is why we're getting obsidian, protect your soul. Soul, like a sun. You have to be the star of your own life. It's Mercury retrograde right now. There's going to be a lot of people who see you glowing up. In this period of pause that you've been in, you've been glowing up. Turn on the electric light. You've been glowing up. You've been feeling yourself. You've been feeling in your power, cultivating this magnetic charge that like makes you super attractive to everything that your heart could possibly desire. And these people who don't see that for themselves, who don't believe that they're capable of receiving that kind of energy, that they're capable of calling in that kind of energy. And I am realizing that subconsciously I'm wearing green and pink. Pink is the color of the high heart chakra. Green is the color of the heart chakra. These two colors come together, Venus and Mercury. That's the divine marriage. And when we're operating from our Venus and Mercury, that's how we manifest our best life and our best world. So these people don't feel like they're capable of having that. So they have to figure out ways to get that from others. They have to, because they are succubus. They are possessed of the mind of, hi, hello. They are mentally in the space of being a succubus. It is a disease. It is a parasite, the eater, this bottomless black hole that's like insatiable. And the thing that they're looking for is spirit. It's a spiritual connection. It's a spiritual connection to their higher self that they just don't have, and they don't believe that they're capable of cultivating or experiencing. And because of this, they cause wild harm and, you know, hurt a lot of people. And what Spirit is saying here is like, that's not your responsibility. It never was, but especially now, if we continue to burden ourselves with a sense of loyalty to these relationships that are literally killing us, if it's killing you, if it's draining you, that's not unconditional love. If it's not pouring into you, that's not unconditional love. That's not love. And it's not unconditional love or compassion or Christ consciousness to remain in a relationship like that. And I had to learn that the hard way. You know what I mean? Like, I had to learn that the hard way. And this period of pause that we've been in, this period, this hermit period a lot of us have been in, has been pointing us towards our North Star, our true north. And right now in sidereal astrology, the North Node is in Aries and the South Node is in Libra. Exactly what I said. Letting people off the hook, not demanding accountability. And honestly, it's ultimatums being made. So there are ultimatums being made is what I'm hearing. Throat chakra. Ooh. It's like a lot of folks don't want to say what has to be said. A lot of folks don't want to tell the truth. A lot of folks, and it's like, oh, but so are you calling me a liar? No, that's not what I'm calling anybody. But when we live beneath what we feel is for us, when we are self-betraying and we are denying ourselves, whether that's because that is what used to keep us safe, or whether that's because right now we just feel afraid, that is living a lie. And as I said in some videos that I posted recently, anything built on a lie, that's not a solid foundation to build upon. Integrity is the solid foundation to build upon. The truth is the solid foundation to build upon. So in this period of pause, we've been being disabused of all of these narratives that have been keeping us small, that have been keeping us in these traumatic cycles. Okay? And I do want to say though, like, it's not always your romantic partner. It's not always the parents. It could be a lot of people, myself included, have been seeing this coming up as like addictions to substances, food, codependency, you know, other ways in which we, trigger warning here, harm ourselves. Work is a big one for a lot of people. And so some people may have experienced like this period of pause where they lost their job and they have done everything that they can do to find a new job and they haven't been able to find a new job. This is something that I'm seeing, and it's because they need to reevaluate and renegotiate their relationship to labor, their relationship to capitalism, their relationship to their self, their value, their worth. I know that has actually been a big one for me. I've been in a period of pause. I've been celibate for 4 years, okay? And that's because I needed to, one, do a lot of like cord clearing and chakra cleansing and growth and renegotiating of my relationship to myself. Okay, I had to come into sovereignty with myself to be able to manifest the relationships that I wanted to have. Okay, and so that is true when we hear like, oh, I need to figure out what's going on with me. Now that I know what's going on with me, it's not just a matter of that introspection and that process. Now it's a matter of, okay, so now I need to do things differently. These people, places, things are coming to me, and that includes jobs. Like before, I would take just about like any form of work. If somebody was like, oh, V, we want you, hi, hello, welcome. Oh, V, we want you to read at this event. I know that I don't want to read at events. I haven't wanted to read at events in years. It takes out way too much from me, and it's not honorific of my practice. Especially if it's in a nightclub, you know what I mean? So before, sometimes I get into that state of fear where I don't think that I'm going to be provided for. I don't think I'm going to have enough. Hi, welcome. And what do? I self-abandon, and I would go and take the work, take the offer that I know is not something that is good for me because it does not feel resonant. It does not feel aligned. If I have to feel like I'm self-abandoning and betraying myself and I have to like talk myself into it, it's not for me. And so this would happen, and it got to the point where it's like, okay, I'll go do the thing, but I'm not making any money. So it was a complete waste of my time and energy to do something I didn't even want to do, and I'm not even making enough money from it. You know what I mean? So in that sense, we have to think about our energy as like the money. Okay? That's the easiest way to put it. I'm expending my energy and getting nothing back because that well has run dry for me. And now it's time for me to go and find a new well, a new way of being, to fill myself up. And that will always come to us when we're operating from our high heart chakra, when we're operating from an understanding of holistically integrating spirit into our lives and living a spirit-driven life. And that doesn't mean that you need to go to seminary and become a pastor. I deadass thought that I was going to do that. Like for a really long time in my life, I thought I was going to go to seminary, which I could still do. But I don't need to. But it doesn't mean that you have to become a Reiki practitioner, that you need to go become a yoga guru, meditating on the mountain, a Buddhist priest, a monk, whatever. It doesn't mean any of that. It means that you are honoring that divine spark that lives within you. And that's like, it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain. It's the ineffable, right? You know, that's your divinity, and it lives in each and every single one of us. That is our power. And to me, I would just say that's something that folks have to explore for themselves and have to figure out what that looks like to you as an individual. For some of us, it is going to look like meditating every day. Some of us, it's going to look like exercising every day, or like it happens in our exercise practice, being of service to our higher self, not just like our basal ganglia, like reptilian brain self, but the highest iteration and expression of oneself. And some people call that top line behavior. This is the behavior that I strive to achieve so that I can be the best version of myself as possible. Okay, so there's 𝗂𝗚na, third eye chakra activation coming here. Also feeling like something to do with the patrilineal side. So this may have been like not learning to take action. And so this comes back to what I was saying is like, now that I've reprogrammed my mind, I'm operating from a different form of consciousness. I'm seeing things differently. I now need to do things differently. Like now if somebody is like, V, do you want to read at this party that I'm having? No, sorry. Thank you so much, but I'm not going to be able to do that. I don't do that anymore. You know, that looks like me changing my offering so that now face-to-face sessions are something different that offer like mediumship and energy work and all of these kinds of, and divination, all these kinds of things. And then I also offer just readings for people who just want readings. And that's me developing this relationship to self that changes over time and being open to what that looks like and only doing what resonates and what aligns. When something no longer does, that's okay. I can let that go and open myself up to receiving something different. You know, and that's what we have been doing in this period of pause, is coming to understand how to be like water. When I pour libations, one of the things that I would ask for sometimes is like, teach me the way of water. And the way of water is the way of the universe. It's the way of dark matter, which is what everything comes from. That's what we build from. Read the Emerald Tablets. Somebody here, I'm being encouraged to tell you, if you resonate with this, read the Emerald Tablets. I listened to it as a book on tape on YouTube. Live Out Your Heart's Desire. That's actually the cover of this. We're really being encouraged here to put ourselves first in ways that we have never done before. And this is going to bring us the serenity, the peace, the calm, the joy that we've been looking for, that we've been searching for. The reason I'm getting the number 66, the reason why we haven't been experiencing that soda light under that deepen your intuition, Kavan sight, expand your consciousness, and Azurite, explore your hidden depths. And they're all blue. They're all blue. And I'm getting the throat chakra activation and tingling. I'm definitely feeling like this has to do with Libra. 777. I've been thinking today about like the idea of being a lucky girl, or like lucky, like everything, I'm so lucky, everything just happens to me. And I don't know what the seed of consciousness has been planted, that there's something to it about fortune versus luck. There's something to it about fortune versus luck. And I guess it's like luck just seems to happen, but fortune is like a higher vibrational synchronicity and alignment. Okay, luck feels like something that happens to us, whereas fortune is something that we cultivate. Fortuna, when we start this week, that's today, midnight Greenwich Mean Time, with whole sign house system and sidereal astrology. We have Fortuna at 29 degrees of Scorpio. So this is really about like when we operate from our personal power, everything just flows to us exactly as it's meant to. But if you don't respect yourself as a person, and you don't respect your needs, your wants, your desires, you don't respect your own mind, you're not self-sovereign, you know, it's not going to flow to you. It's not going to come to you because you don't want it to. Secretly, you're afraid. Or if it does come to you, it's like, oh no, With it being in the 11th house, I really feel like this has to do with like our especially like social indoctrination and programming. When we started the reading and I got that channeled song of Breakaway by Kelly Clarkson, can you tell that I grew up in the new millennium? We talked about like, she says, grew up in a small town, and it's not about just, and when the rain would fall down, talking about light codes, I just stare out my window. And This to me feels like she can't experience this level up. She can't experience this raising of consciousness, raising of vibration. Let me tell you something. As somebody who, like, I stopped smoking weed 3 years ago, and I have been recognizing how when I first went through my first initiation and I developed a bunch of spiritual gifts, 1, to a higher frequency, and 2, for the first time ever, it was so much and it was so overwhelming that I would drink every night. Every night I would have to, like, I felt like I had to get drunk in order to, like, deal with it and turn down all the noise, because I didn't know how to deal with my gifts at that time. Then I moved to Liberia to live with my dad, and he explained everything that was going on with me, and he told me, you know, these are our gifts. This is something that runs in our family, and this is what you have to do, but you have to stop using substances. It took me 6 years to finally come to understand that that was true for me. And now that I don't do these things anymore, and I'm not saying don't do it, I don't care what you do, that's between you and your higher power, that's between you and your body, I don't care. But for me and my bloodline, this is true for millennia. So I am able to achieve states of consciousness that now, without any substances, without any, like, I did tons of psychedelics. I was a stoner. That was, like, my character, right? And that's because I wanted to achieve the states of consciousness that I now actively experience from just being fully present in my body. So I don't remember how I got on that, tangent, but someone needed to hear it. These cultural ideations that, like, are represented by this small town. Oh, she's staring out her window. She feels like she can't ever experience, like, these level ups, these heightened states of consciousness. But by doing the work, it happens naturally. Just by showing up, it happens naturally. And this is why, like, we have to center our higher self. Who is the self that you want to be? Do you know even? Because if you don't know, then yeah, life is going to just happen to you. Oh, why is this stuff happening to me? Sometimes, you know, unfortunate stuff happens. We live in a free will realm and people can do whatever they want to do. But also, if we are not fine-tuning our frequency, if we are not fine-tuning our energy, our state of consciousness, our field, our mind, our domain, as I call it, this is what we're sovereign over, is our domain. If we're not programming that, then yes, everything is just going to happen to us. We're going to keep finding ourselves in these relationships because we're not being discerning. We're not being conscientious enough to discern, like, or to sense, to have our intuition tell us, this is, I don't fuck with this. I don't know what it is, but I don't like this vibe and I'm not going to engage with it. And then we keep on falling into those patterns. So Fortuna, 29 degrees and 36 seconds of Scorpio in the 11th house. This is about taking back our mind, taking back our personal power. Okay, like, if my mind is, you gotta run your mind. Don't let your mind run you. Make your platform. Don't let your platform make you. Okay, what that means is if you're trying to become a social media influencer, right? Like, instead of doing everything that everyone else is doing on social media, and then now you don't even know who you are and you hate yourself. You don't know yourself when you look in the mirror because, like, you've allowed everyone else to tell you who you are. And this definitely is 11th house vibes. You make yourself, in your reality, in your personhood, the best version of you. The highest version of you, the most optimal. And that's not, it's best because everyone else likes it. It's the best version of you. You feel your most empowered. And that's what you put out there. Because guess what? We got 1 million, well, actually probably have over 1 billion people who look exactly the same. And they're getting, I don't know what they're getting. Actually, I don't see why they make such an effort, because they seem to be living very mediocre lives. That's not a character judgment at all, but that's what it is like everyone's homogenous because everyone's being the same thing. As the song channels, or as I channeled through the song, trying hard to reach out, but when I tried to speak out, feel like no one could hear me. Wanted to belong here, but something felt so wrong here, so I prayed I could break away. You know, when I left my childhood home, if you can call it that, I wanted to leave so bad and never look back. But I kept going back because I had Stockholm syndrome. And I knew deep down that it was fucked up. But I felt like I had to because I had all these societal pressures and the microcosmic cultural pressures of my family and our microcosmic culture, my country, my tribes, you know, then the community I grew up in the town that I grew up in, the state that I grew up in America, you know, all of these societal pressures coming together and telling me if I left and never went back, then I was a bad person. And I already felt like I was a bad person because they taught me to hate myself. Guess the fuck what? When I finally did, you know, I did keep going away, and every time I came back, I would remember this is why I never want to come back. And I would do that, and I would do that, and I would do that. For 10 years I did that. And finally I came to a stopping point where I finally have the self-respect and self-love enough. Hello, hi. I have the self-respect and the love for myself enough to be like, no, never again. I'm not going back. I live in today. I just have these 24 hours. So I don't know what's going to happen 5 years from now. I don't know what's going to happen down the line, but I do know that the state of consciousness I'm in right now, I would know that if I entered into those kinds of relationships again, regardless of if it's with the same people, the same places, the same things, it doesn't matter. If I enter into those relationships again, codependency, people pleasing, allowing myself to experience different forms of abuse, silencing myself, gaslighting myself, all these things, you know, the desperation, especially, you know, all of these things. If I do that, I will know that I'm doing that. I will not be able to unsee that I'm doing that. And I will know actively every time I do it that I'm self-betraying. Okay, so this is why this is very much coming up right now. And with it being Mercury retrograde, with 29 degrees of Scorpio Fortuna in the 11th house, we are remembering our power. And it doesn't matter how long it took you to get there. Like, it doesn't, none of those past like mistakes matter, because those are the things that really drove in the lesson. Now it's time for us to get out of the lesson and just start living. We've already absorbed the lesson. We already know better. Now it's just a matter of doing better. And everything is going to come to us so easily. Tune into your serenity, like this pretending to be someone that we're not, pretending to feel things that we don't, which is to say, like, being okay with things that we're not okay with. This kind of energy has been keeping us from experiencing peace, experiencing serenity. It's not just about joy. It's not just about happiness, because life is up and down. We're not always going to feel happy, period. That's just the fact of the matter. And if you do, I don't know. I have no idea what to say about that, but I don't think that that's, I'd love to learn from you. Please teach me. But what I feel every other person that I've learned from has shown is that energy is flux and everything changes. Nothing lasts forever, which means the good times don't last forever and the bad times don't last forever. The happy times don't last forever. The sad times don't last forever. But serenity is something that we can always tap into. I think that there's a quote, my serenity is, I guess, based on the, I'm going to paraphrase, as much my peace and my, honestly, happiness and joy and calm and is basically how much I can meet serenity with calamity. You know, the world can be falling down around me, which, look outside, it is, and I can still be okay. I don't have to like deepen into the doldrums of despair. I don't have to do that. It's okay if it happens. That's only natural. We're only human, but I don't have to live in that space. And that's something that's really coming through here, is like, you know, as the world is the way that it is, really trust that, like, that's happening, but you are taken care of. You are okay. You can actually thrive. That's what's coming through here. And I made this example when I did the cosmic tea for Mercury retrograde. I have a friend called Mo. In lockdown, I believe Mo lost her job. And Mo worked several jobs. And in lockdown, she took her money and she got her LLC for good form. That's what the gym is called, good form. She bought her LLC for good form. Then she was able to, when the government started giving out money for businesses, she was able to get a bunch of money for her business. And she was able to open up a gym. She didn't open the brick and mortar immediately. The first thing that she did was start doing classes online and teaching people online. And then eventually she opened the gym. Now this is one of the nicest gyms in Far Rockaway. If you've ever been to Far Rockaway, that's kind of, they don't have a lot of nice gyms. So she has, like, not a full monopoly, but like she has something that's of high value. If you build it, they will come. Okay, so saying this in regards to my friend Mo, lockdown, that time was terrible, and it has continued to be pretty terrible in the collective sphere, in the 3D sphere. But there are people who were able to thrive, and that's because they were able to transcend their fear and operated from a more sophisticated place. Sophistication, Soph meaning wisdom, exercising wisdom, tuning into wisdom. You know, that's why I said you take a deep breath. And that allows your nervous system to get regulated enough. Hi, welcome. That allows our nervous system to get regulated enough that we can actually have a solution come in, problem solve, because that does not happen. Your basal ganglia, your reptilian brain cannot solve problems. It can only keep your physical body alive. Okay, so I do feel here that, you know, it's Mercury retrograde, so yeah, some people are going to be returning to our lives. Just say no. Just say no, okay? Be discerning enough and aware enough to know, like, if somebody is genuine and in their apology. But do also remember that you don't have, just because you accept their apology does not mean that you are granting them access to you and your energy ever again. Okay, we at some point we all have to have standards, and when we have better standards, we need to exercise boundaries less often. That is to say, like, if my standard is that I'm only interested in developing intimate relationships with people who are trauma informed, I'm not going to have to keep resetting boundaries around certain types of behavior, because I'm not cultivating that energy in my life, right? Open up your love channel. It really has to do with self-love. It really has to do with self-sovereignty and being the sovereign of your life. So it has to do also with accountability. And we do have Pluto at 6 degrees and 9 seconds of Capricorn in the first house. And we have also the ascendant at 4 degrees there. So a lot of rewriting the codes of our foundation, rewriting the codes of our existence, really, in the 3D. You know, if your narrative was always, well, you know, this kind of thing always happens to me, then that kind of thing is always going to keep happening to you. One, because your perspective is set on that thing always happening to you, but two, because ultimately we do attract some situations in our lives, and because we're not actively saying no to the situation. By deciding that, like, it always happens to us, in fact, we are inherently saying yes to the situation. Okay? But if I decide, you know, that thing happens in life, that exists, but I don't deal with that. I don't interact with that. Hi, welcome. I don't interact with that energy. Like, when that comes near me, I let it pass right by me. That is to say, if you have somebody that in your life that you know is a succubus, they are draining your creative power. They are draining you of your life force. You know that. I'll liken it to a clout chaser. I'll liken it to a tick on a dog. Okay? You get bit by a tick, you might get Lyme disease. Okay? You can't play out here with these kinds of people. And this, like, oh, I'm a light worker, I'm a spiritual person, I'm a healer, so I gotta know. What you need to do is protect your own light. What you need to do is protect your own existence. And that's the only way that you will be able to be of service to the collective. Hard lessons learned here. But if you know that somebody is coming in and taking your energy and draining you, say no. It's never too late to say no. If you know that a certain kind of work drains you and does not fill you up, and you don't get, and also it's like, even if it is giving you a lot of money, if it is draining you of your love of life, your joie de vivre, if it's draining you of that, is it really worth it? Is the money really worth it? Because that is to say, if you can come into alignment with what is actually a vibrational match for you, with what actually resonates, one, you'll have all of the prosperity. We're not talking about abundance. Folks got to stop using that word abundance and start shifting into the idea of prosperity. Because you can have an abundance of rats. You can have an abundance of snakes. You can have an abundance of ticks and fleas and mosquitoes and termites. And what good is that? That's not prosperity. Okay, when we shift into the framework of prosperity, we're not aligned with things that are draining us and feeding off of us. We are aligned with reciprocal circuits. That means that I pour into you and you pour into me. And places have that energy too. You know, people talk about the energy in New Orleans. I've talked a lot about the energy in Los Angeles and the Mojave Desert and the Pacific Ocean. Like, things have energy. Okay? When you make the definite decision, I am going to live my best life. It's not just making that decision, it's also putting it into action. And that's really, we're getting that opportunity. There are going to be a lot of opportunities for you to step into your highest timeline coming to you this week. And Spirit is saying, say yes. Say what you want to say, but don't be upset when your life sucks because you refused, because you were scared. The opportunity will come back around again, but do you want to continue living a life below your level of consciousness? Because that's what hell is. That's why the 2D and the 1D are hell dimensions for 3D beings, human beings. Okay, so that's binary opposition. I've talked about that on here before. Binary opposition is two-dimensional, and that's why it is destructive, inherently destructive. I mean, look at the world today. That's literally what the colonial structure of idea system is built on. Men versus women, people of color versus white people, rich people versus poor people. When in actuality, like, it's so much more nuanced than that. And also a lot of those things don't actually exist. They're just idea systems that have been implemented to cause harm. So turn on your electric light, like, activate your power. Be here now. Green calcite is the emo, honest to a fault, believes in the storybook ending, tree hugger of the calcite family. Hold it against your chest when making important decisions regarding how you want to spend the finite, precious time you have on earth. When your heart is asking for something but you, aren't listening. The heart wants what it wants. The mind wants what it thinks the heart wants. Or heart should want. Should's not real. Should is a sick fantasy. Call on the energy of green calcite to nudge the push and pull in the heart's favor. Okay, so we're going to just get some practical advice here. I think I've said everything that I can say about what's happening esoterically, consciousness-wise, spiritual-wise. And also I gotta wrap up because I got somewhere to be. But this is just to say, like, accept yourself for who you are. You don't need to force anyone else to accept you. You're the only one who needs to accept you. Those people see who you are. They know who you are, and they have a vested interest in keeping you from seeing who you are. Okay, so for social, it's 7 of Cups in the reverse at the bottom of the deck. You've been having these disgusting relationships. We get 9 of Swords in the reverse at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, let's shuffle. And I am seeing the King of Swords at the bottom of the deck as well. You've been having these relationships purged from your life because they were harmful, they were toxic, they were keeping you in lower vibrations and timelines. The Fool in the reverse, the Star in the reverse, the 4 of Swords, and the 10 of Pentacles. All in the reverse. So this is a reversal of fortunes, and we're going to get a lot of reversals because it's Mercury retrograde. But I want you to notice, like, you're taking your power back from these people, and they're going people, places, things, situations, etc. Nouns. We're just going to call them nouns. We're taking our power back from these nouns. Okay, they're going to present themselves. Some of them are going to present themselves in a way that's like, oh, like, I'm so sorry, I'm trying to get back in your life. No. No. Are you ready to honor the divinity that lives inside of me? Well, I sense that you're not honoring the divinity that lives inside of you, which means you can't honor the divinity that lives inside of me, and I'm not developing a close, intimate relationship with you. Thank you, though. Thank you. I accept your apology. Bye. See you later. Next. Then there are the people who are going to come into your life who are going to try to knock you down a peg, humiliate you. The people who think that it's their job to humble someone. God humbles us. The universe humbles us. Okay, the ethers, karma, Saturn, Kali, Sekhmet. I don't need you to humble me. Okay, those people are going to come and they're going to be trying to throw shade on you, trying to rain on your parade, all that shit. And you, like, my suggestion is to just be like, I probably would hate me too if I weren't me. I'd hate me too. I see that you really have a lot of deep-seated wounds, and I'm sorry that you have to experience that, and I'm praying for your healing. And I'm praying that you experience unconditional love that might transform you to living a more fulfilling life. I genuinely believe that for all of the people who have ever hurt me. Sometimes I also, like, want to unalive them. It's true. But I would never do that. And that's when I'm operating from my shadow, my wounded self. And when I choose to operate from my divine self, I allow those to... So there's a lot of soul retrieval going on. So you might also be having a lot of, like, a lot of things from the past coming up in your mind, in your body, like memories. And I would just recommend to allow them to flow through you. Journaling is going to help. This is so that you can become more empowered. You're not holding on to these things that have disempowered you. Learning the lesson and letting the energy go. Once it's done doing its job, and that's its only job, let it go. And then there's a third other thing that I'm struggling to put words to. So there are the people who are there are the people who genuinely are sorry. And, you know, that's a resolution. That's a resolution. Is that something that we want to go down the road with? I'll put it this way. I had a friend and we stopped being friends because she did some really fucked up stuff. And, you know, I'd see her around the city and I would not, sometimes, I think it was like one time I saw her at Trader Joe's and I was just like, I ignored her. And I was just not going to talk to her because like what she did I felt was unforgivable. Then I learned about forgiveness and I did the work to forgive her within myself. And then her ancestors were like communicating to me and I reached out to her. Well, I reached out to her before that and we squashed our beef, but we weren't friends after that. And then her ancestors were communicating to me and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to just let her know what it is. And she would be like, oh, let's get dinner. Let's hang out. And it didn't happen, but I didn't get mad about it. And I don't initiate ever to be like, let's hang out or anything like that, because I don't have that expectation that we're ever going to be how we were. I'm of a different consciousness now. I'm a different person now. So it's just going to be what it is. You know what I mean? And, honestly, like, I don't have any expectations for her, so she can't really break my heart in the way that she did before when I did have expectations, because that's my bestie or whatever. You know what I mean? And so we can operate in a space of unconditional love. And I'm honoring myself, which means I'm operating from integrity because I allow her to be who she is and I keep a healthy distance. Okay? Ding. Spirit dings. That means it's true. Someone it really relates to. Open your love channel. So yes, I can be a free-flowing human being and I don't have to worry about that with her. Okay? And I know better than to give too much or expect that I'm going to receive what I want. I just know that. That's a well that's not gonna, that's a thimble well. That's not the ever-flowing fountain of life that I'm being guided to exist with. So, Four of Wands, I do feel like we're really learning to protect our energy in relationships. Princess of Cups, you see she's covering her cup there in the reverse. Like, the opportunity to choose lower vibrational behavior, to choose emotionally regressed behavior, to choose trauma responses is definitely going to be there. And I just really would encourage you to keep on vibrating higher daily. And then we have the Three of Wands at the bottom of the deck. So that new energy is coming through. Okay, let's get some for love and romance. Love and romance. So usually when I do this, it's like love and romance for people who are coupled and who are not coupled. Generally, the information is the same because I'm channeling from the ethers. And how it manifests in each person's life is individual. So it might be like, you know, and it's like, oh, you're meeting a more aligned partner. It could mean that your partner is leveling up within themselves and growing and becoming more aligned with you, and you're also doing the same thing. Or it means that you might be meeting a new person, or you're meeting a new version of your own self, because we are our own twin flames. Okay? Divine union. Oh, okay, what? Okay. The Hierophant. Reclaiming our power, our sovereignty in our romantic relationships, in our intimate relationships. The High Priestess. And those are actually, like, very much a match. Three of Swords in the reverse, yes. No more breaking of the heart. Knave of Cups. The Fool in reverse. And the Emperor. So what this tells me is, like, as I said, we've been in this period of pause. Accept that all of those hard lessons that you had to learn in the past have informed you of how to move forward in the future. And if you know that you are operating from those lessons, like, it doesn't matter if a bum, if a buster. We get the Star, yes, honoring yourself, a 9 of Swords in the reverse. Like, it doesn't matter if those people present themselves to you, because you are honoring yourself. You are seeing your value, and this is bringing you into new echelons of intimate relation that you have never experienced before. Queen of Pentacles in the reverse at the bottom of the deck, and the 4 of Pentacles as well. Like, when you stop self-abandoning, this is what I'm talking about with standards. You know, I have a friend who recently decided, like, or rather, I'll put it this way. If you want to have children, and you want to be in a loving relationship with the person who's going to be the parent of your child, having standards means that you're not going to invest energy into relationships with somebody who doesn't want children. And this is a space of growth that folks have been coming into, is realizing, like, I can't change anyone. I can't make anyone who I want them to be. Everybody is just who they are. And, you know, we might enjoy each other's energy, but there's 8 billion people on this planet. I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of people who all enjoy their energy. I haven't met all the people who are going to love me yet. You know, have enough self-respect and self-love to set a standard and to maintain a standard, so then you don't have to constantly be erecting boundaries. 9 of Pentacles is, I would say that this is not the week that, like, they're gonna come. You're still in this process of transformation. You're still in this process of transformation. Temperance in reverse, but do operate from this new consciousness you have, because you are calling them in and they are calling you in. The more that you move from this space, the more that you manifest it in your life, and you program your external matrix to that vibrational reality. And the busters will pass you by. In fact, honestly, it's like, okay, like, you start, if maybe you were dating dusty ass people in the past, okay, and now you want better for yourself, and you start actually investing into yourself, a lot of those dusty ass people are not even going to approach you, because they're going to be like, that person's out of my league. Now, some of them are going to anyway, because they're willing to try it. And those are the people who I gotta respect their audacity, but you just say no. You just say no. Okay? And that's on healing the yang instead of blaming the yin. 10 of Wands in the reverse. You're going to be able to let your guard down some, because now you are more discerning. Ace of Cups, exactly. This new energy is coming in for you. This new life is coming in for you. It is being birthed as we speak. Expect the unexpected. Okay? 10 of Pentacles, fuck you, pay me. All your hard work is paying off. Judgment, 10 of Pentacles, 6 of Wands, King of Cups, in the reverse. All your hard work is paying off. Surrender to your higher self. And seriously, be honest about what your needs, wants, and desires are, and you will have them fulfilled. But closed mouths don't get fed. Are you willing to do everything it takes? Now let's talk about money and career. So we can wrap up. Let's talk about money and career. Money is the reason we exist. What are the lyrics to that song? I've been getting so much Lana Del Rey lately. Everybody knows it, it's a fact. Kiss, kiss. Sing your national anthem while I'm standing over your body, hold me like a python. And you can't keep your hands off. King of Chevron. You said to be cool, but I'm already coolest. Said to get real, don't you know who you're messing with? Said, do you think you'll buy me lots of diamonds? Oh, who you dealing with? Yeah. Yes. Okay, that's it exactly. And it's not about the material things, okay? Like, that's just the easiest way for me to put it. But, like, we got to stop messing with people who are not on the same consciousness as us and then being like, oh, but I can teach them. If you, okay, so let's just put it this way. If somebody is a racist, but they ideologically, but they are attracted to you and you're a person of color in this example, because I've seen this. They are a racist, but they are physically attracted to you as a person of color. Like, oh, but like them, in our relationship, I'm going to teach them how to not be racist. Like, why would you even accept something like that? That just shows a deep level of self-loathing. And you think that you can save them, but clearly you can't even save yourself from yourself. You know what I mean? Like, these are the things. It's not just about money, because it's really about, like, do you bring value? And what is that value? To me, it's consciousness, it's energy, it's spirit. Like, if you don't meet me on that level, there's nothing that we can do romantically. I'm not mixing up with you, and we can't be friends even. I still respect, like, your life and that you exist, but, like, you know. Okay, so we're talking about money. We're talking about money. This week, you're going to get some tricklings of the abundance. Tricklings of the abundance is what I'm picking up. See it? It's a collective message. Expect the unexpected. You know, we're in a portal. We're in a time warp with the Mercury retrograde and the eclipse window. We're still releasing a lot of shadow. So as that is being purged, the blockages to receiving are also being purged. But maintain faith. Think about what you're going to do when you get the money. Judgment in reverse. 20. 10 of Swords in reverse. Prepare to be sick of me. Knight of Cups in reverse. The World in reverse. What's happening? World in reverse. I don't know. Oh, it's the outgoing position. Okay. Hierophant in reverse. King of Pentacles in reverse. 7 of Cups. 4 of Cups. 3 of Swords in reverse. So, and we get the High Priestess in reverse at the bottom of the deck. So, yeah, as I said, like, expect the unexpected. Even if things are not going so well in your financial life, just as with the romantic stuff, as I said, like, and it's also evident in the social life, things are being purged and removed, and more you're starting to see hope. You're starting to see miracles. What is helpful is ask the universe to show you how valuable you are in your everyday life. Ask the universe to reflect back to you your value, not what you value yourself as, but your value to the divine. Ask the universe to set the intention that you're going to see miracles every day. I see God's miracles working in my life every day. I see God's miracles working in my life. I see the support and sustenance of my higher power working in my life every day. Set those intentions. Reprogram your subconscious mind, because a lot of folks we get the Queen of Pentacles exactly. In order to be the Queen of Pentacles, you have to have actually mastered the emotional body. You have to have actually mastered the energetic body. You have to have actually mastered the mental body. You have to actually have mastered, well, not necessarily have mastered the spiritual and consciousness, because she's the Queen of Pentacles. She's not the Empress, who has all of the queens in her. But to be the Queen of Pentacles, which is to say yin sovereign over the material realm, one must understand top to bottom manifestation. That is to understand the metaphysical practice of manifestation isn't just in the physical. It's about the mind, which controls the emotional body, controls the energetic body, what we express. That's why we had the throat chakra tightening and clenching and stuff, because there's still things that you need to say that you haven't said. There's still ideas that you're holding inside of you that you need to disabuse yourself of and finally just put that stuff to rest. For me, it's like, oh, I feel like I have to, like, I don't know, like make myself small to make other people comfortable, or else I'm not going to be safe. Well, I was never safe to begin with, so I may as well just live the life that I want to live and be the person that I want to be. You know, so things like this, you still have work to do, and it's happening. It's on a consciousness level. I would recommend using subliminals. I would recommend scripting. I would recommend vision boards. So even though you might, and also tapping, even though you might be triggered around money, you know, you still are reprogramming your mind, because no longer do those trauma programs and succubus programs have power over you. You're self-sovereign. And you know that it's going to manifest eventually. Even if it's not now, it's going to manifest eventually, because you're doing the things that you need to do. So, yeah, that's what's coming through. I would recommend, invest in yourself. That's what I would recommend. Invest in yourself. That is not the same as like buying a bag of gummy worms because you're sad. That's being indulgent. That is to say, like, okay, your skincare routine makes you feel like your best version of yourself. Do that, because probably taking care of your skin is going to also get you further in life. It's just a fact of the matter. You know what I mean? If you have a bunch of clothes that like no longer fit you, I'm talking, this is true for me, like having a bunch of clothes that no longer fit me, I threw them shits away. It's no longer my personal style. I threw it away. I gave it away. I gave those clothes away at clothing swaps. Do a clothing swap with your friends. If you feel like you need new stuff, do a clothing swap. Okay? Sow the seeds, and everything is going to be taken care of, but you need to sow the seeds, and you need to pull the weeds. Tend to your garden. Okay? That's all I have. Thank you all so much for watching. I love you all truly and deeply, and I will see you on the next one.